Yahoo for anxiety. God, it's boring. Anxiety is just plain boring. Yeah, I cleared it out of my head pretty quick. I had a pretty good day, actually. Very good day. Had a good stream. Some really good people on the thread. I loved it. Just kind of spontaneous. Just decided to. Figured, man, maybe somebody will show up, and 10 or 11 people. That was great. Very fun people, nice people. I, 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 I like my channel a lot. Sometimes I just want to chuck it. Wonder why I'm doing it. Silly old fart fool that I am. But, yeah, but it seems to matter. Now we watch the incense do the incense thing again. I'm very fond of it. I think as a child I was a bit of a pyro, not in the setting of the garage sense, but just watching the fire, watching the fire, watching the fire. There's a primal and my incipient killer, or yeah, man, beyond all that. That I probably stated before. As a child, I always thought I'm going to end up in the gas chamber. There's something of that ilk. What's going to be like? And that never happened. Pretty unlikely now. No, I never killed anybody. Sure, I thought about it back in the day, way back in the day, when life was a little more dangerous than it is now. Now I laugh in the face of danger. I'm scared like a little girl when it comes to accomplishing the mundane things. I'm sure some of you people feel that way. I know you do. It's, it's something we share. It's something we live with, but it's just something we live with. We can share it with each other. Sharing it to other people, they're never gonna understand. It's sometimes we just laugh at it, or we just it is what it is. We can acknowledge that it's real. That's really a pretty tremendous comfort, don't you think? And we're absolutely not alone, and there's not jack shit we can do about it. Yeah, and I haven't had huge anxiety for quite some time now, and it's just stems from chores I haven't done that are building up and really could cause me some kind of harm if I don't start tending to it, which I did do today, as a matter of fact. It's been a couple of hours kind of sorting the wreckage of my life. I couldn't even make myself vacuum for 2 months. It's that bad. And I'm not a lazy man by nature. I'm by nature a pretty hard worker. It's, why do I let it slide? I don't know. Just do. This is the longest it's ever gone this way, so it just makes it probably harder, actually, maybe easier to shake once I shake it. I call it the sock in the middle of the room syndrome. I was living in a room not too far from here, but it was a very, very bad hotel. It was a chamber of horrors. One of the worst years I've ever spent. I've had much better times in jail. And that's not an exaggeration, because overall jail hasn't been that bad to me. Except for LA County Jail, but we're not going to talk about that now, are we? There's no use. You wouldn't believe how bad it was, and I don't know. I just don't want to go into that. It was very, very bad. But the sock. I was fixated on one sock in the middle of the room, and I knew once I moved that sock, once I moved it, the avalanche of chores would just accomplish themselves overnight. Could not move that sock. Went on for a week. This sock. Stared at the sock. I felt like the sock was staring at me. That sock was out to get me. I was out to get it. Until, like a rabid buffalo, I lunched on that sock. Wanted to just rip it apart with my teeth. But it was a perfectly good sock, and socks cost money. You can't really go around sacrificing socks to the anxiety god, now can you? So I didn't. And then proceeded to swab the wine stains off the linoleum. Oh yeah, drinking a lot of shit red wine back then. Whew, boy, jugs of the crap. I think you kids today call them handles. I always called them like bum jugs because they were bum jugs, bum wine. Oh boy, I drank a lot of that stuff. It used to be a lot cheaper back in the day, really cheap. Recall way back in the day, back in the 1980s, you could go to Safeway, and they're selling gallon jugs of wine for $2 for two for $5, 2 gallons for $5, and you could also get a case of really cheap beer. I can't even recall the name of the beer. Yeah, that's actually a case for $5. Now this shit was heavy, really heavy, but nonetheless, I put that in a duffel bag and haul it onto the bus, and then get off the bus right by Davenport Beach and have to walk across the road and go down the tracks and down the tracks and down the tracks and down the tracks and down the tracks. Probably only a half mile, but still. And you have to cut this one trail down to the beach and to my tent, sitting right on the damn beach with all that freaking sand. How I hate sand. Oh, yeah, sand, sand, sand. Sand gets everywhere. Everything you eat, everything you drink, your ears, your hair, fucking sand. And that was it was freakish. 3 hours a day, every day, it would be windy. It would be still before that. It's still afterwards. People decide to go to that beach in the morning, and they would set up their tents, but they wouldn't put anything in the tents. Wouldn't. I tried to warn a couple of people, but they just didn't want to talk to the hobo by the beach. Thinking, oh, sure. You're so lost, and those dome pack tents would turn into beach balls. They'd go. It was a long beach. They'd be trying to chase it, idiots. You know, how far is it really going to go? It's not going to hit into the sea. But I'd laugh. I stopped warning people because they're not going to listen. They never do. I mean, I enjoyed it. And the tents would flatten during the wind. I would crawl into the room, into the tent if I was home, and just weather it out because I could stay out of the sand for a while, and just crack a book, drink my jug of wine. I was fine, but the people on the beach were just getting sand blasted, and they would leave like, oh God, thinking that was always that way, and then it would die out, and I'd have the beach to myself, and I generally did have the beach to myself at night. Occasionally, some other people would set up tents, and this was a beach owned by the railroad, so it wasn't policed. It was kind of half-assed policed by the people who lived in the town. But I was cool, so they didn't mess with me. They just didn't. And I could beach comb to my heart's content. People get drunk on the beach at night. You find their stuff. There's always like half full bottles of booze, and you find cash, not a great deal. And you find watches, and car keys, fucking car keys, millions of them. And I collected one set, and some high school kids who had been drinking the night before. One of the kids else said, "Hey, we saw you hang out here. Did you find some keys?" I said, "Oh yeah, I got some hundred keys." Yeah, you make like $25, and they started coming down pretty often to drink on the beach, and they'd always invite me, and they always had a keg of beer and tell hobo stories. And those are really cool kids. They bring me, well, they'd ask me, "What do you need?" Like, "Well, I need a jug of wine and some books." And they bring me books. You know, I wasn't going to the library. I was just kind of going into town to get some casual labor and work it until I had enough to go back on the beach and just read. Generally didn't have a radio. Just stared at the ocean and read a lot. I don't. Was that a great period of my life? Yeah, when the weather was good. I kind of got away from that beach for a while in winter because it was rough. I did winter there for one winter, and I spent 3 days in my tent on the beach, talking to no one, seeing no one. Interesting. Well, apparently, I'm psychologically durable because I was in a great mood when I came out. I felt like I just came out of Disneyland, and there was a bar up there back in those days. And Mark, did you spend the entire weekend in your tent? Well, I came out once in a while, but it was so wet and just stayed in my tent. Yeah, they thought he was a madman. They're probably right. Oh, that beach. God. Got out of there, and it was hard put to ever walk in the sand again. Every once in a while, some woman dragged me in. I want to go watch and look at the ocean. Like, what do you want to look at that thing? Seen a lot of it. Seen it hours and hours and hours. Big deal. It's a big lake with sand and wind and more sand and more wind. And I really don't like wind to this day. I've never liked wind very much, and I've always been stuck in it. You spend a lot of time in outdoors. You kind of lose your taste for the outdoors. I, yeah, trees. Oh boy, look at that tree. I can go. I can go to the redwoods now and really appreciate it. But I always end up in the same section I used to camp in, and just a lot of ghosts and memories and horrors and epiphanies and perhaps ghosts. Yeah, there are some weird things up in those trees. The redwoods are different from other trees. Forests, much different. Demons and angels and haunts and spirits. Yeah, they're up there. I wouldn't advise going up there and camping alone. Really, not for any length of time. And I was up there for lengths of time. Boy, oh God, I can't believe I weathered that much. And I mean, literally, you spend a couple of winters up in the redwoods. You get wet, you get cold, you get crazy. Uh, uh. It's cumulative. That's called real PTSD. I'm not mentioning that a lot, but there's such things as PTSD, fake PTSD, and real PTSD. I mean, statistically, 80% of the people who claim to have PTSD don't. They have maybe moderate anxiety, but that's not PTSD. It takes a long time to get PTSD unless you're in heavy artillery for a while, and even then, most people do shake it off. But I read, and I do firmly believe that if you spend a combined total of 5 years being on the bum, kind of in survival mode, you're granted PTSD at the front door. Tree fever, I called it. The boony fever. It leaves a mark on you, and the people I know who've been through it too, we're different. We're different forever. And Yeah, I'm crazy, but a few of my friends, well, usually they're schizophrenics who end up there. Oddly, I've had a lot of cute schizophrenic friends, and I've met some schizophrenics that I didn't like because they were usually pansies. Milked it for sympathy. I despise that. Like just crazy people trying to get sympathy from other crazy people. It's kind of pathetic. Really pathetic. See a lot of that online on YouTube, and it just raises my hackles. What the fuck are you? What are you whining about? Yeah, experience it, express it, share. Absolutely do that. It's a wonderful thing, but just don't try and pass yourself off as some kind of profound victim. And yeah, you're crazy. Yeah, you're going to be a victim of one thing or another, but in some ways you can prevail. You can compensate. I'm all for compensating, compensatory, because every crazy has a prof, well, if you're relatively intelligent, you can tap into some kind of genius, even though nobody really acknowledges it such. But it's soothing to have some kind of talent going on for you. Like other people I talk to on this channel, yeah, they fall into that category. It's some brilliant people on my channel. It's amazing. I haven't met a stupid one yet. Maybe that's why I like a nice, fairly small channel because, yeah, I go into a stream, people are interesting. They're funny. They're cool. Nobody's had to get each other. They're not. They have a cadence of the way they communicate. It's recognizable. It's cool. I find it reassuring. I know that I'm not alone in this world. Even though I'm a recluse, I like to know that I'm not alone. That some people really catch the same rhythm. That's ego. You can take that with you. Yeah. So that's my ramble for the night. And I swore I would never do another one, but I swore I wasn't gonna do a stream for a good long time, and end up doing it today, and with happy results. So yeah, maybe it's intuition, even though I really don't believe intuition as such. But whatever. Playing the gods. Yeah, I can't win if you don't gamble a little. Yeah, it's not much of a gamble anyway, is it? But anyway, thanks for listening. Have a great whatever's.